What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We are in a new location. The best podcast on the app is live from the cigar room, the AF Minicast. Graphic Gangster, Small Arms Danny, Bearded Guy Treadway, and then from the Barstool, say it with me, Mr. Cory G.
What's good? What's good? DJ Danny, what is that?
Tyga.
Faded by Tyga.
Oh,
OG Tyga.
That it might be OG, but I think that's still like.
Featuring Lil Wayne.
Oh, okay. There we go. I knew I recognized Wayne.
Wayne.
What's good, your boy Cory G? We are live from the secret cigar room, and I'm not at my kitchen table. I am at the bar. So thank you, Cole.
You're welcome.
We'll throw it over to the Chancellor of Events that has his Small Arms fucking Danny hoodie on. Back to Danny.
I guess we should unveil this real quick.
What are you unveiling?
We got the front hit. Shout out Cole for designing the sweatshirt. He also has one. Colonel Cole.
Yeah, it's Colonel Cole.
Yeah. So Small Arms, fucking Danny, and there's the back. So
why is it number 3?
that's Daddy's number.
Oh, okay,
That's,
Daddy.
yeah. So always been number 3. Big Babe Ruth guy.
Big what?
Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth guy.
Yeah. So
Yeah, Baby Ruth.
yeah. So that's my intro. So I'm gonna throw it back to the small guy on the stool over here to give us an update on like what's going on, what you were testing. You did a little lower back 10-minute warm up thing. Why don't you kind of give us a rundown here?
All right, so first off, feels good to be here in the cigar room. We've got the mood lighting, it's like gangster lighting. Anyway, all right, so yeah, last Sunday I was get up, in the morning, doing my normal conditioning, did 45 minutes or 60 minutes on the treadmill, lunge, sat down to do something on my phone real quick. I was at my house, got back up, and all of a sudden my whole right side of my lower back just went like tightened up on me. Same type of thing I've kind of been dealing with off and on. But I'll be honest with you, I was like super fucking pissed about it because I've been doing the things that I believe are necessary to keep myself healthy. And so I think it was just kind of a freak thing. The cool thing was because I wasn't loading my spine super heavy, I figured I could get it adjusted relatively fast to go to the chiropractor. Shout out Dr. Myers. And so anyway, I came in, did the 10-minute warm-up, like an elevated warm-up, just based around trying to get as much blood flow around this area, which would be the SI joint, to get it to like perceive a better stable situation so it could not be as like tight. So when I went to the chiropractor, they could adjust it. So I went ahead and did that. Trayvon shot it. Danny put it up. And that is something you can use as an elevated warm-up. Or if your back's just kind of tight, it's just a few things that I've used to try to help. And it helped a ton. I got adjusted. My SI is still a little sore from it being locked. We are not hooping this Thursday because we have a bunch of stuff going on with the Arnold, but I will be ready next Thursday. So I'm feeling much better. But that was probably the best turnaround time from, oh shit, I'm locked up, to I feel good probably in a while. So that made me feel good. So that's what's going on that. But the 10-minute warm-up thing will definitely help. So it'll be good. That's
Cool.
Pertaining to that, Daniel.
All right, and then you dip down consistently below 190 now. So you kind of finally hit that, busted through that barrier. So now you're on the way to, 180, 185 or so in Shred Town?
Yeah, I'm hoping to be, I don't know. I'm trying to catch fucking Colonel Cole over there. He's getting Shred Town 100 and Shred Town 180. But I'm working on that because I think I could be 185 by the end of the week the way Sim's going now. But I don't know. We'll see how I feel tomorrow. But I definitely think I've hit a good groove where my body's starting to really kind of drop body fat and is burning fat on, for what I'm eating and whatnot. And like the busy diet's just undefeated. Like at the end of the day, the busy diet's undefeated, and you might have to figure out a few things here and there, like your lunge capacity, your walk on the treadmill, whatever. But I love how easy the busy diet is. I love being up the dinner portion with the sweet potato is awesome. And so I'm like super happy with it. And I keep looking back at 2 summers ago when I looked ridiculous basically. And I'm hoping to bring that same type of look, but maybe be a little bit bigger and my legs be a lot stronger. And so that is something I think then I'll be able to hold for a while, which is my plan. So yeah, I'm feeling really good about it right now. We got a gang of people coming here that's probably gonna have their shirts off on Friday or Saturday. So I better be ready to bring A game or whatever A game I got on Saturday. So
All right, so I'm gonna kind of dive into something anabolic fasting specific. So, just kind of highlighting the simplicity of it. So,
Sure.
the protein, the veggies, and the fat. So, why don't you just talk about how, like, pretty much how you created it?
Sure.
Because you wanted something simple, something that you weren't gonna have to track, and do a bunch of cooking, a bunch of dishes, and stuff like that. So, talk about the simplicity in your own words with anabolic fasting.
Well, I'm going to bring Colonel Cole into this a little bit too, because I think Cole and I talked a lot about the anabolic diet, which was the origin of how anabolic fasting was created. And some of the things that I found through working with Mario DiPasquale and the anabolic diet, I then changed for anabolic fasting. And the reality is that part of it was the amount of carbs on the adaptation phase. Part of it was the cheating protocols. And part of it was just the overall, situation that I thought we could improve on. If you know the actual anabolic diet, then that allows you to kind of understand where anabolic fasting was created from. Cole has actually been doing the anabolic diet to get himself fat adapted and test some of it to get through this plateau. And so I think now he has more insight than maybe anybody in the more in this group most recently, because he's doing the origin diet that then evolved to the anabolic fasting diet. So
Yeah.
Cole, go ahead and speak on that.
I kind of think to understand what I'm about to say and why I'm doing the OG anabolic diet, you have to realize that I've gone through the entire phase of where basically anabolic fasting 101 and a half took me from where 230 down to 200, right?
Yep.
So then I had to adjust, recalibrate. Am I eating too many carbs or not? To then go to 101, which took me from basically 200 to right below 190, which is 187.
That's 40 pounds, bro.
Yeah, so
First off, congrats.
there's levels, right?
Yeah.
There's levels of
Fuck yeah.
how I started this and where I'm at. But now I'm trying to unlock the next level, which I've been steady right around 187 to 190, slowly losing body fat, keeping my mass on, so my weight has basically stayed the same. But now I think in order to get to 180, be actually fucking shredded, and basically what I'm trying to do is I'm kind of trying to look like fucking peak Cory. I'm trying to look in the mirror and be like, fuck, that dude could be like a fucking bodybuilder, basically.
Good.
So that's what I have in my mind. So this is probably day 11 of the OG anabolic diet, which from following AF 101, my carbs have probably been around, 70 to 100,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So not super heavy. I don't feel like I'm eating a lot of carbs still, but I am adjusting that to where I'm eating no more than 30 grams of carbs and increasing my fat even more. So I'm basically fucking low key, straight up, it's honestly kind of keto. And I experimented the first few days. I basically was tracking the carbs from the green beans in one of Keeney's meals, and it was 12 fucking grams. Wasn't enough. I bumped it up to exactly 30, and in this fucking 10-day period, I've immediately seen a difference.
When you say 30 carbs, that's why I made that noise. People fucking flip out.
Yeah.
But the original anabolic diet was you are teaching your body to be fat adapted, not carb adapted, meaning that it is burning fat because you're feeding it fat in low amount of carbs. It's not just burning the carbs that you're feeding it. And what I told Cole when we were talking back and forth, he was telling me the way that his body was feeling, and I think he needed a really aggressive. Cole's been following anabolic fasting off and on since I met him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's he needed an aggressive thing that was going to really shift his body into just, I think burning fat primarily for a period of time that would reset, make him fat adapted, and then him go potentially back on just regular anabolic fasting, and it'll work even better. The problem is with this diet is that if you don't track the carbs very closely, because there's carbs in almonds, there's carbs in this, people eat more than 30, that happens, or they'll undereat and then they'll cheat really bad and mess it up. It's really a 14-day period that is 12 to 14 days that is difficult, but there is a lot of value if you can go through it.
Just to be completely honest, from doing AF 101 so much, basically having the, non-aggressive cheats and everything, the transition from basically the amount of carbs I was eating on 101 to testing this, it's not hard for me. It actually, I honestly feel better. Like I think this is also probably some of my genetics. I think I'm made to eat this way.
Yeah.
So, but my cheating principles is in the OG diet. If you were to read the book, it's like you basically deplete yourself completely of all the glycogen shit in your body, all the carbs, and then you'd go for like 48 hours of basically flipping it to where I'm consuming 70% of my calories from fucking fat to straight to carbs.
Yep.
And you fucking water bloat. Now this is made specifically for like bodybuilders, but
Powerlifters.
yeah, and powerlifters, but I'm like trying to compete in like CrossFit, more athletic shit, so I need performance based. So I don't want to gain fucking 10 pounds of water and then feel like shit and then go try to like move around. So I'm mini spiking, kind of what I was usually doing, and following the same principles. It's going to be Friday or Saturday.
Yep.
And I'm just going to do fucking ice cream.
What's awesome about you kind of going through this is I remember doing this exact thing and then doing a bloat, or actually doing the 12 to 48 hours, and I bloated crazy and like my pumps were wild, and I was like, if I did this before a meet,
Yeah.
this would be fucking crazy. And then I was like, or before I get on stage. Like, so then I started to understand the extreme principles of the anabolic diet. And then my brain kept going, but how's this turn into a lifestyle that I can teach somebody that doesn't do this for a living, that, you know, doesn't want to go through 14 days, Cole, quite frankly, right? But there's a version that they could do a 5 and a 2, 5 on, 2 off essentially, but the 2 off has to be a little bit more strategized so we could still have a net loss each week. And then still, if we're powerlifting or bodybuilding, we know if we go down that road of really kind of basically binging up the calories, that there'll be a amount of water that'll be jammed in the muscle, an amount of bloat, and that you will get that extra performance when it comes to a power sport. All of that stuff made sense to me, and that's really how anabolic fasting was created. Which was fucking wild because, hold on one second. Rach, you're on the podcast. You want to say hi?
No, I do not.
You want to say how much you love anabolic fasting? That's what we're talking about.
Oh my goodness. Okay, hon, I'm gonna go.
Okay, bye. All right, so I love doing that. So it's like sometimes she'll call me and be like, "Am I on the podcast?" I'm like, "No, I'm by myself." Anyway, I think that background, and like I remember reading the book, The Anabolic Solution by Mario Di Pasquale, and learning from Serrano, then being able to email Mario about some of my questions, and even early anabolic fasting days, emailing him and saying, "Hey, this is what I'm seeing is working. Does this make sense from what all of these years of research that you did? And I've switched this and done this." And he kept coming back saying, "Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense." Like at the end of the day, like, is that a true lifestyle that people can follow? And I think for less aggressive, you know, more lifestyle oriented people, my version seems to make more sense,
because
but this version fucking works.
I just want to completely say this would probably be the hardest fucking thing possible if I was 230
I was just gonna say
and
that.
went to this.
Yes.
Because you got to think like this book was written for fucking bodybuilders.
Yeah.
Like we're talking like legit dudes going on the Arnold stage, like bodybuilders.
This was written for people that want drug-like responses without a mass amount of drugs. That's what the manipulation of insulin and growth hormone and testosterone through the actual carb depletion and loading and the phase. Like that's why I was so locked in, because I was like, I want to get drug-like effects and not take drugs. And so I was going to bring this up, that if you start this at 230, I don't think your adherence is as good.
No,
as
because I would have been going from eating a lot of fucking carbs, having so much glycogen in my body. And in the books, it talks about once you switch to, if you were to go from basically 200 grams of carbs to 30 and go to fat, you'll basically develop a fucking keto flu. Like your body will literally be so in shock. You'll have fucking headaches. You'll go through all this shit, to where I think the way I staged this down, this is basically just trying to push me into another level that actually
You're ready
is
for
probably
it.
better. This is probably the amount of food I need. So I haven't experienced any downside effects. If anything, I feel better. But I will say, I think it's because I did fucking 101 to 1, or 101 and a half to 101 to now this.
I think the bigger takeaway, Cole, is you've been patient.
Yes.
Because you know what you want to look like, and you're just willing to continue down this process and be like, okay, I'm up against this. We're going back and forth. And it was like literally the perfect time to try something like this, to take yourself to another level. And honestly, I was in that same kind of boat where I kept doing these carb rotation diets, eating oatmeal and brown rice and all this stuff, and I just couldn't get tight enough. And then as soon as I locked on this is when all my shit went to a different level.
Yeah.
And then when I did those carb loads or even the fat loads and stuff I was doing with Serrano, all these testing things, and I was like, I started looking fucking crazy, bro. And it was because, like, think about this. When you're doing this and you weigh 170 and you're lean as a motherfucker and all of a sudden you eat 6,000 calories on one of these like Saturdays, you literally look like you're on steroids.
Yeah.
This shit is crazy.
So in my mind, where I'm at right now, like this is like working. After 3 days, I immediately noticed like, oh shit, I look like different, right?
Yep.
Now it's day 10. Last night in my fucking bathroom mirror, I look like a freak, and I've never looked good in my bathroom,
I love
my own
that.
bathroom mirror. So basically I'm thinking I'm going to start with, you know, the ice cream, just like a milkshake or something, like on Fridays.
Yep.
Just one. I'm just going to do one.
Smart.
And then I'm going to continue to do that until I see or start to feel like I'm stalling again.
Yep.
Because this might take me from 187 to fucking 183, right? And if I start to stay at 183 and I can't get it, then I think I'm going to test adding another fucking milkshake.
Yeah.
Because on this, like, you do need to.
Here's the thing. It starts with the fat adapted 12 to 14 days. Then it goes to a 5 and 2, which is where I got the 5 and 2 from.
Yeah.
Right. So I went to the second phase because I figured, to your point, people are already starting way over here. I put them through this 14 days. They're going to fucking hate me. And they're probably
it's
not
not
going to do it.
sustainable. Yeah. You're not going to be able to sustain it.
So if I take them to the second spot, which is the 5 and 2, and I think your point of like, your genetics probably will spill over faster because you tend to hold on to the glycogen, Cole. So doing the milkshake as like cheat number 1 on Friday, or the spike cheat essentially, Friday, Saturday, and then you go right back to the 30 or 50 grams of carbs. I think you can look in the book. I think it might go up to 50 grams of carbs if needed, like on the 5 and 2s.
I mean, really, that might be something I'm also going to test too.
Yeah.
Because do I need 30, or, you know, maybe instead of adding another cheese spike in, maybe I do 45 fucking grams of carbs.
That's
a
what I'm
day.
saying.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing right now until.
So,
you know,
but think about this. Cole at 230, if I tell you to eat 30 grams of carbs, you think there's no way I would survive on that. And so, but you have to people have to understand that, like, because you were patient and did that, the transition wasn't that big of a deal. And you just are willing to do and take as long as is required because you know what you want. And I cannot say that enough, is that when you, like, Cole weighed 230 more than he weighed 180 in the past. Like, it's just the truth. He was 220, 230 for a while, 215. Like, I saw him 180-ish once.
I went from 180. I was 185 whenever I originally joined in 2017. Went to 195. Then it was like probably a 2 or 3 year stretch where I was weighing anywhere from 200 to the heaviest 230 before I started this.
Yeah. So, but that was a block of time.
Yeah.
So it's like, but you were like, okay, this is going to take time. So anyway, just overall, I think it's good for you guys to understand background about how anabolic fasting was created off of the anabolic diet, my thought process around it. And then for me, it's kind of exciting because I was going back and reading a bunch of stuff as, you know, you and I are going back and forth on it.
If anyone is wondering, like, about strength, I'm so worried my strength is going to go down. I've gotten fucking stronger. Like, legitimately, like, I think my muscles can actually move more, so I'm stronger in different positions. My muscle mass has actually went up.
Yeah.
So compared to, because I think the first scan I have, I was like 196. I have the same amount of muscle mass from there. Yeah.
I need to go up and do the M body again too. Have you done it recently?
I did it the Friday before I started this. Okay. So like 2 weeks ago.
Ooh, so you're gonna be able to get it right after you finished it.
Yeah. So I'm probably gonna do it again at the beginning of next month.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Because when I was at MP, I would do this type of stuff and then do the DEXA. And so every time I would go to Denver, I'd be like, all right, I just tried where I'm doing 20 grams of creatine a day, anabolic fasting. And I would do all these like protocols and then jump back on the DEXA. And I could be able to see like my output each time. So that'd be really cool. And I'm going to go up and get myself retested here soon too. Yeah. So that's cool. All right. We just dominated the podcast. Danny, anything? Danny Treadway.
Yeah, I'll do one quick other anabolic fasting sideshow here. So just for people that are on the road, on vacation, hitting the gas station, or they didn't plan or whatever. So you did, your anabolic fasting gas station edition before. So like, not only tell us what 3 things you might pick up in the store,
Sure.
but also give us 3 things you absolutely would not pick up in the store.
Well, my anabolic fasting, I guess, like gas station edition has always been like super popular. And I think that this is the thing that people really have a hard time putting their brain around, is that, when they don't have the best case scenario, how do they still win? And at the end of the day, every gas station has beef jerky. That's just a fact, right? You can get beef jerky literally anywhere. And to me, I'm going to lean more towards, kind of to Cole's point, like a keto situation, because I'm just trying to stay away from breads and bad type of processed stuff and chips and all that kind of crap that's at gas stations. So I'm like, beef jerky, cashews or almonds. And then, if I'm driving somewhere, I'm just bringing an avocado with me. And honestly, a lot of times a cold sweet potato or maybe a can of green beans. But the easiest thing is you're out on an island, you got nothing with you. It's beef jerky, thing of nuts, and then go ahead and just bring an avocado with you. Just keep it super fucking simple, and just till you get to where you can get something better. You got to go worst case scenario. That's still not that bad. It's the same way it is in when I'm traveling. If I'm in the airport, I swing by, grab a water, grab a beef jerky, grab some almonds, and then wherever I get to my destination, I can get vegetables, sweet potato, whatever it is. And so just don't super stress it. Just eat something like that, so then you don't eat something you're not supposed to. That's really the strategy.
So it's gonna come down to primarily higher fat, though. It's kind of the underlying.
Higher fat is definitely the choice in those circumstances. And if the 3 best things would be literally number 1, beef jerky. Number 2, maybe a whey protein, pre-made shake that just has low sugar in it. Number 3 is going to be some type of almonds or cashews or peanuts. You stay with those 3, in a situation like that, you're going to fucking win. I mean, that's how I always have looked at it traveling all of these years. How do I not fuck this up? And those are the 2 or 3 things that are the best case scenario.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, and we're back. I am Small Arms Danny.
You are, motherfucker.
I was like, Cole's going to like this one, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to throw it to the bearded guy here to my left.
He's in the shadows
got some
over
questions
there.
too. He is in the shadows.
That's how I try to stay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go more so based around training, G. So
Sure.
You've recently switched up your lunges.
Mm-hmm.
You've went from the track just to a straight deficit. But just in general, why do you prefer lunges over traditional running? I know you do some stuff on the treadmill as well for conditioning, but why lunging as your preferred method?
Yeah, so just straight up hate running. I don't know why, but mostly because at the end of the day, I was already kind of a thin dude growing up. And so when I would hoop or run a lot, I would just feel more thin, not fucking jacked. And so my whole goal is be jacked, fucking strong, and harder to kill. And so the reality is when I would run all the time, that is not how I felt. I'm not saying no one should ever run, or some people don't like it, whatever, but I just don't fucking like it. So I'm a weightlifter, straight up. I like to lift weights. So when I, kind of came onto the lunges, I'm lunging at the track. To me, it felt like an extension of lifting weights. And so I created a conditioning from an actual exercise, which is kind of cool. And I think it contributed to so many things in my life that I wanted. I wanted a stronger squat. I wanted fucking to be leaner and a higher metabolism. I wanted more durability from a standpoint of connective tissue. I wanted more endurance. And if I wanted to run, I could with ease. And all of those things were true. And then what happened was, I think it unlocked this newfound love for conditioning, because I was literally doing my own style conditioning. In this space, it's really hard to kind of own a situation. And there has been people that have lunged, right? But I don't know if there's people that actually prepared for bodybuilding shows or powerlifting meets by lunging primarily. And then, I think my best streak was maybe 500 days of 800 meters every day, which is a half mile. And I didn't even quit the streak. I actually competed that day at my high school, and then went home and fell asleep and woke up the next day because I was so tired. And I realized, oh, fuck, I didn't lunge today. But the reality is I just disliked running, and I knew I had to find a style of a conditioning that would contribute to all of my goals. And it tends, what tends to be true is if you answer a need for yourself and you care about it, there tends to be you're answering a need for others too. And that's where the lunges, started to become a thing. But I didn't even start doing it till like my early 30s to mid 30s. And, had some of the best, I think the best I looked, the best lifts of my life, and, probably changed the most people because it was so unique and people locked onto it. And lastly is it was something that people don't think you can do every day, but you clearly can do every day. Your body adapts after 12 to 14 days. It is just like you walking down the fucking street, just as much as you lunging 400 to 800 meters. You mentally get tougher because you have to look at that track every day or go outside and go, oh man, I got to really choose to do this. It's difficult. You get physically better because of all the things I already talked about. And then you create momentum because you have a streak. You have accountability to yourself. You're getting the results, so you want to continue to do it. And you build this momentum and accountability that is kind of second to none. And so it has so many components of why I think it's great and unique and why it's done so well.
Can you give your top 3 variations? So once you've been lunging for a while and you want to switch it up, I know there's a couple different methods you can use to change that variation. And then when would you go to that? Say you've done consistent 400 meters for a month, or what kind of time frame would you start testing those variations?
Yeah, I would say the variations, for a really long time, honestly, it's just kind of like the squat every day stuff too. I just did the basic stuff. So just going and lunging at the track and really pushing the pace more than anything. Some days you're going to be on the, not as fast side, and other days you try to push for a PR just like any other lift. But I would say the variations that I really started to utilize mostly because of not having a labrum in this hip was I would step across, so it stretch my outer glute. Knee would still be behind the toe, but I would use a pattern where I'm stepping across kind of like the center line on the track. I would see the line on the track for the lanes, and I would use that. And I would basically step on the center line, step across, step across. The other one would be more like a pocket lunge, which would be a knee over a toe. So you kind of lunge down in, and if most people are keeping their knee behind their toe, I would shift it forward to really stretch my quads, similar to a deficit lunge. Those are probably the 2 I stayed with probably the most. The third one would be really almost like stepping out, you're creating a one-leg sumo kind of situation. So if your line is here, I would step out kind of out to the side and then also have my knee right alongside of my toe to kind of stretch my hips. And so those are the 3 kind of patterns I used at the track, because I did it off and on for 10 years. So I had to come up with a bunch of different stuff depending on what was happening.
Cool. And so the next question kind of stems from that, but it's around the 4 a.m. crew and the
Sure.
mindset around waking up early. What would you say are the most advantageous reasons to wake up early? Some people will say, why do I need to train at 4 o'clock in the morning when I can do the same workout at 6 p.m.?
Yeah, the 4 a.m. thing is interesting because it's funny because I was just messaging with Cory Carpenter yesterday, because it was actually Cory Carpenter, because I just saw him doing something business-wise, and I commented on it, told him good job, and he was a really good partner we could rely on. He was there every day, right? Wasn't the strongest dude, wasn't the most gifted dude, but he would show. I just knew he was going to be there. When his work shifted and he went to 4 a.m. from 5, and he was super reliable, and I was just you know what? And we had already been going at 5 a.m. for years. I had already been at 5 a.m. with Todd for I don't even know how many years already. And then you guys were starting to come into the fold too, for a couple of years. And I remember Carp went to 4, and I was like, man, that would give me literally an extra hour to do these things that I need to do. And so I don't know that anybody even knew I trained at 5 a.m., but everyone knew I trained at 4 a.m. That's the best way to explain it. And I don't know if you guys remember this. When we went to 4 a.m., way more people started coming.
I do remember that.
It went from me, Todd, Jason Daniel, you guys starting to come to everybody. Literally the crew exploded because everybody could then get to their job site, get back to school, whatever it is. So 4 a.m. was an inflection point that changed not only, I think, the cruise situation, but it changed my life for sure. Because it was one of those things that it was an opportunity for me to really get everything I needed out of my morning. And that was just what was necessary. And when people say that, to your point about like, oh, well, couldn't you just do it later? Maybe, but could I do it at a competitive level at the top of my industry later? Well, maybe if that's only thing I did. But I'm trying to go, can I still compete? Can I run multiple 7-figure businesses? Can I still be a parent? That's a lot of things to do in the same day. And so the reality was, I looked at the 4 a.m. as I still got my locker room. I'm still getting competitive. I've got accountability. I've like get a chance to like be aggressive and fucking like get after some weights. And it's like, it's on a schedule. And then once I go through that process, I get a chance to do my conditioning. I get a chance to do my development. And then I get a chance to like come out, like I say, on the other side of the washing machine and basically be like, I went through the spin cycle. I went through the wash. I went everything. And I'm a folded up version of Cory that's then ready to go out to the world and not be a fucking maniac, because I got all of that stuff done early. And there is no way I am here if we don't do that. It's just a fucking fact, because I needed uninterrupted time to be a competitive athlete. I needed uninterrupted time to educate myself on all this business shit and craziness I got going on. I also needed uninterrupted time later at 5 p.m. not being in the gym so I could be for my family, be at their practices, make sure I'm not missing games, be a dad. And it's like also like I couldn't really be worried about during my work to be able to go away. Even though my business is fitness, business is still happening. It just happens to be in fitness. And so to balance all of those things, to give myself a chance to be the person I think I can be, it was just required. And I would argue that it's still required, and I'm still implementing things in the morning to try to make it even more efficient. And yeah, it just, I don't know, the consistent discipline that is 4 a.m., I think forever changed my life. And I just had a message from Josh Wang. Shout out Josh Wang. He was like, he messaged me on Instagram, not on the blog on purpose. He just put it on there that he goes, or on G Social, he goes, hey Cory, I'm thinking about doing the 4 a.m. thing. What's the secret to getting up? And I wrote back, set alarm, get up. and then I thought about it for a second. So I was like, I need to add something else. I wrote, don't negotiate with yourself. I don't negotiate with myself. It's already a decision. I made the decision when Cory Carpenter that day said, hey, I'm going to 4. Thought about it. I said, I should probably go to 4 too. And so it just is what it is. And so when you decide to do this, you just fucking do it. And there's going to be days where it's not going to happen. And that's okay. You just got to get up the next day and keep it going. But I just don't think that my life's the same if I don't do it. So that's my take on it.
Oh, yeah. I think we're going to kick it to Colonel Cole now.
Yeah. All right, G, rapid fire G social questions.
Sure.
This is going kind of back to the running.
Yeah.
How do you think, like, if people want to run, like, should they supplement sprinting instead of lunges, or how would you do both?
Yeah, so there is a lot of people historically that have wanted to do both, and a lot of military people that are like, I gotta get ready for my PT test, so I have to run. So I always say do this. I would recommend lunge 3 or 4 days a week at 800 meters and run the other days. So if you lunge 3 and run 4, or lunge 4 and run 3, and then run at that 2 or 3 mile clip on those other days, but it's like intense. And if you can keep that up, whatever you need to do, whether it's lunge or run, you're going to be clearly ready, because when your body adapts to a schedule like that, like it's the same fucking pattern. See, that's what a lot of people like, oh, when you lunge, you're going to get fucking slow. No, you're not. You're literally lunging almost the same way that you run. Of course, it's a little different when you're fucking pumping your arms and the way you lean your body, but it's the same like connective tissue, and you're supporting all the muscle that you're going to need to run. It's not going to make you muscle bound. It's not going to make you fucking not be able to move. Like, it will contribute to it. And if you have to run distance, your connective tissue is going to be so much stronger. It will allow that. And the lactic acid threshold increases because you can lunge a half mile. That burn you get, it doesn't just happen at 100 meters anymore. It doesn't happen at 400 meters anymore. Sometimes it doesn't happen at all. And so you can work up to where you go through 800 meters. You don't even feel it doesn't burn like that unless you're trying to do a PR time. Don't you think that converts over to your running? So if you do both, it will work, and you can do both for sure.
Yeah, it's good. All right, lunges. You've messed with doing it before workouts, after workouts. Is there a good time? Does it matter when you lunge? Like if they can't get it before they go to work, is it okay to do it after work? Like,
Sure.
Can you just talk about that?
Yeah, I prefer post lifting for lunges, but at the end of the day, you just need to get them in, right? So there's a lot of people actually, that will lunge in the morning because that's like they don't have to go if they go to a gym, they can just go outside, go to the track, whatever, do it inside, and then they'll lift weights after work. That's fine. Ideally, like the way I created the protocol was I worked out at 4, I went to the track after. I only prescribed it that way because that's what I knew worked, and I saw it work with us, and I saw it work with the people that worked with me in person and on the internet originally. Has there been people who have amazing results that do the opposite, meaning they lunge at night and lift in the morning and vice versa? Of course. I just think getting them in is really important. And most recently, I've changed where I've done some of my conditioning before I lifted. And my results have been fine too. So I just think I don't think it necessarily super matters. If powerlifting is like a super big deal, I think it probably, like if you're taking a heavy squat, I think lunging 800 meters in the morning and then trying to squat that night might be a little difficult. So I think it was really set up and programmed that way because the numbers were really important to us for so long that I didn't want to be tired on my big lifts. And so it depends on kind of like that part too, I think.
Yeah, it's good. All right, this is a direct question. I'm going to read it word for word.
Sure.
You've already answered this, but explain more. With fattier cuts of meat, I'm still having my fat source, but do I need to make sure to scale back the fat source if the protein is fattier? Like instead of 1 avocado, just do half?
No, I think, a lot of people in this like all this diet info that's out here, they just overthink it. If you're eating a piece of meat that just has like a little bit more fat on it, still eat the same amount of avocado, still eat the same amount of sunflower kernels. Like that actually it could help that day, right? And just the mild change of calories and fat content of it going up actually could contribute to a little bit more recovery. And then the next day, if it happens to be a little lower, it actually could help. So I wouldn't overthink that. I think that I would be more focused on the adherence of the basics and the boundaries, and less focused on something that specific. Unless you're like 6% body fat and you're getting ready to do a bodybuilding show, which is probably not most of our, community. I would not be super concerned about that. I'd be more concerned that you're not getting enough fat. And I think you're learning that right now.
I mean,
right?
Really, you have to think that fat is our fucking friend. We love fat.
Yes.
Fuck the carbs during the week.
Yes.
We like carbs on Fridays and Saturdays.
Yes.
So the more fat, the better.
And if nothing else, you believe that more now than you ever have.
I'm 100% physically going through it, yes. I love fat right now. Avocados for fucking days.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a good question, though.
All right, that's all I got.
All right, cool.
What'd
What'd you guys think about the cigar room change for the venue?
I like it.
Yeah, right?
Obviously wet. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got a good vibe, right?
Yeah.
Danny still looks small from over here, though.
I might have to bring some dumbbells in here next time.
Hey!
All right. Well.
All right, this has been another great episode of the AF Cast. If you have anything you want to hear us talk about, drop it on G Social. I'm the graphic gangster. Small arms Danny. Bearded guy Treadway. From the Barstool, Mr. Cory G.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week.